Everyone, welcome back. Welcome back. We are live. We are live talking about the Super Bowl that we have coming to you guys on Sunday, New Orleans. Can't wait. We got an exciting announcement too on the channel that we're going to be talking about. Probably something that I'm more excited about than the actual game. So I'll get down into that, as well as we're going to break down this entire prop card, as well as a lot of the picks that I'm going to be in on as well. So appreciate you guys all tuning in. Let's get those likes going. We'll wait for a few more people. I'll try to get more people into the chat. And feel free to say hello. I know it's been a while. Jeffrey, what's going on, man? We're just live on YouTube, so nothing on X today. So want to just say hello and reach out before I get out my main video where we break down the entire game with my official plays that I'm going to be putting out today as well. Okay. Who else we got in the chat outside of Jeffrey? Mario, what's up, man? Wait for a few more people and we'll get it going. Okay. Well, here's the deal. Steve, thanks, man. Yeah, I've had the flu, so we'll give this a couple minutes. It's out on Discord, so hopefully everybody starts trickling in. Yeah, we're playing around with some things. I had the flu. It was bad. I luckily it was over the weekend. Didn't have to take off of work or anything, but just completely out of it. Didn't even watch any sports. ED, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping in. Long Tokes in the house. What's going on? So we'll wait for everybody to get in here. I'll give it to the 5-minute mark, then we'll get going. But yeah, let's get it going right now. Matt, what's up, man? Yeah. So before I start talking, for the people in the chat, let's hear who you guys are taking. Let's just get it out of the way first and foremost. So we're going to be talking all Super Bowl right now. I'll give you guys kind of where I'm at, kind of what futures I have riding. NFL awards tomorrow, so hopefully you guys are cashing in on some futures with a Nat. KC, yeah. Yep, so that seemingly is going to be the... Unfortunately, it's going to be one of those kind of events. Tyler, what's up, man? Yeah, it's one of those events where I feel like you either like KC or you don't want to wake up on Monday wishing you would have taken them like we've done the last few times. It's always the same, Mario, same storyline every year. But full disclosure, I'll keep it real with you guys. I had probably one of my biggest payouts on record. It was a 171 ticket, I believe, and I had the Georgia Bulldogs winning the national championship. I parlayed that with the Eagles, and I parlayed that with the Argentina winning the World Cup that year. at around 9-1, and all three of those together was like 170-1. I had a few $100s on that, and that was the year that the Eagles were up 10-0 at halftime, and I kind of decided to let it ride. And I did hedge it, but I did hedge it like a pansy, where I took points with the Eagles, but then I played the under, and that game went way over. So we'll talk about it, and I'll break down both sides. We're going to go probably till about 1:45 before I sign off, 1:45, and then we'll get done here. So we'll get a lot of stuff out of the way, and then I will do a full video, just so everybody who wasn't able to make the live stream, with actually the official plays that I'll be taking. If any of you guys do bet offshore, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious on some of the novelty bets, such as coin flip, Star Spangled Banner, Gatorade color, so on and so forth. Okay. Not available in the States, I don't believe so. But I do have a play in one of those that I will share with you guys. And you got to forgive the appearance. I'm not growing out a beard. I literally have a haircut, and I'm going to get it all fixed up. So I don't know where everybody's at. For some reason, we do get a lot more action when I don't do an actual live stream, and I just do the vertical live. But apparently everybody's checked out at 1 o'clock, but we'll still go with it. We're going to get this one going. And we'll get the big stuff out of the way. The major announcement is, Joey D and myself will be headed to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, a little TBM road trip, if you will. So looking forward to that. We're leaving tonight. No, Mario, no, that's my, yeah, Joey's a hockey player, so he keeps that one going. But yeah, we're leaving tonight around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, driving down to New Orleans. Part of a casino pro-am kind of deal, through one of the casinos that I play with. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So there's going to be a lot of comps. We get to actually get paired with NFL Super Bowl Hall of Famers, some legends out there. So we'll have a lot of pictures in the Discord from that experience. And then we will be on Bourbon Street Sunday for everything that entails, and may or may not be getting into the actual game. That's to be determined. So more to come. Okay. But that's kind of the big announcement. So we will have live coverage Super Bowl Sunday from New Orleans for you guys. So that's kind of what we have going on. That'll be a fun time. Hoping we get to, there's some big name guys that we get to stay with. Eric Dickerson, Marcus Allen, Ricky Jackson, Lawrence Taylor, Jerome Bettis, and Ronnie Lott, a couple other players. So hopefully we get paired up with one of those fine gentlemen outside of some autographs and cold drinks. We'll get to have some access to those guys, and probably some content for you guys as well from the casino. So look forward to that. But let's get into the picks. Seemingly nobody wants to stop by this live stream. We got 14 people. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. If you can, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. But let's just dive right into it. Like I said, we're going to keep this one short and sweet. Mario, hoping that's who we get, to be honest. I just want to see kind of how jazzed up he gets on a golf course, because he, quite frankly, just does not care from everything I've heard. Okay, so let me get this one going. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys what I'm working on. And here we go. Okay, so we are going to use Outlier as always. If you guys don't sign up with that, link in the description. Try the 7-day free trial, even if you don't bet football. I think football, it's fine and dandy, but it's only 1 day a week usually that you do use it for its entirety. But within the NBA world and baseball, it's pretty much priceless. So, yeah, Mario, we'll have to make a judgment call on that one if we do get that would be definitely a weird little bucket list thing. And never done that stuff. Probably won't do it, but I'd love to see him do it, just to put it bluntly. But anyways, So let's talk about this game. First, let's look into some betting trends from a team perspective. Kind of guide you through this. The under has hit in 5 of the last Kansas City 5 games against top 10 scoring defenses. The Chiefs 13-0 in the last 13 games as a favorite, with the Eagles 6-0 against the spread against top 10 scoring defenses. So these insights lean towards the opportunity that the Eagles are going to get this one done. Full disclosure, if this was any other quarterback and coach, which I will tell you guys, I believe it is the coach, not the quarterback. I know we're going to get in that Belichick-Brady debate, but that's just how I view it. Going down that narrative, my gut is telling me Eagles, and my heart and my head's telling me Chiefs. So I don't have any money on the line in terms of futures, full disclosure. So it's going to be kind of an unbiased bet where I'm going to have to actually bet what I want to bet. So when we talk about this a little bit more so in its entirety, the sucker bet for me is if you like the over, you like the under, take that and you put it with the Eagles. The Chiefs have not, every one of their last like 13 wins or so, it's an NFL record for 1-score games. That's what's got a lot of referee scrutiny. That's a safe way to go. And I know that was my mistake in the past, but if you do like an under or you like the over, I think the best thing you can do is tease that with the Eagles, taking them up through a lot of key numbers, and you get them 7.5. And I think we're good to go on that one. Okay. That's also something where I don't mind taking that. And, if you want to bet it, like, you think the Chiefs win another tight one, take that with Patrick Mahomes MVP at plus money. So maybe a little double dip. But I'm going to get into kind of where my head's at face value. If I had to tell you guys, full disclosure, I have not bet the game, but if I had to bet the game, if I had to bet the game under the influence on Sunday, I'm probably betting the Chiefs. If I had to bet it right now with my bankroll and make a pro bet, I'm probably taking the Eagles. Okay. Just where I'm at. So everybody, is going to be on both sides. I actually do have an inside track to some very well-known, probably the number one gambler in the world. If you do sports gambler, if you do follow that kind of mainstream information, I'm waiting to hear back from an uncle to hear what that looks like. Don't really know yet what side he'll be on, but I have a feeling that there's going to be sharps on both sides for this ball game. Okay, so I do have one bet in pocket right now. Let's talk about that a little bit. The one bet I did make, and I'll never tell you guys to bet anything, but if you have any pizza money, and this is not financial advice, but I'm just, I'm pretty good with this stuff with the long shots. And if you have, $5 your name, $10 your name, find the best odds available and go put it on Harrison Butker. 250 to 1 is what I got. You take Harrison Butker, 250 to 1, Super Bowl MVP, kicks 3 field goals, game winner. Despite all the Catholic stuff that came about, I find it very hard to believe that he would not get MVP with Patrick Mahomes not having any touchdowns. Okay. If we get a game similar to what we had within the Patriots and the Rams a while back, same kind of storyline. Okay. I know that necessarily it could go to a defensive player. Personally, I probably would give it to one of the coaches, but that doesn't happen. But just for the odds, if we're playing sheer value, everybody that is watching my video should have a Harrison Butker Super Bowl MVP ticket in their pocket. It could be for $1. I don't quite frankly care. It should just be, it's almost like a matter of principle. If you want to look at historical data and see which kickers have won Super Bowl MVPs, go for it. But that's just kind of how I feel about it. Okay. Next, we are going to look in this matchup. So let's break down the game right now. Okay. First and foremost, let's see where the money's at. And this will shift, obviously. We do have kind of an overwhelmingly amount of the handle to the over. That's kind of where I think I've heard a lot of experts on as well. They're favoring the over in this contest. Me personally, I like the under. There's a lot of reasons why. This one was one of those games too, as we look at the recent performance, historical Super Bowl matchup. That last time, I do want to pull it up. I don't quite currently have it up, but Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl Okay, so this was 2003. We ended up getting a 35-38 victory for the Chiefs. Okay. And that was one where, you obviously wouldn't have hit the under. So keep that in mind. I do think this total was set a little bit lower than back then. If we look back at that date, you can see kind of the total was 51.5, and now we have this one kind of finding its way at 48.5. So like I said, guys, if you made me pick both, I would do the under with the Eagles today. Let Joey get a few drinks in me. We'll see how some blackjack treats me, and I'm probably going to be a Chiefs bettor on Sunday. So we'll see how that works out, but that's just how indecisive I am, because there's one glaring kind of trend, and I know I'm not a trend bettor by nature, but I did hear something a little bit earlier today. I'm not taking credit for this, but in the previous 10 Super Bowls, dating back to, I think, 2003, okay, the team that has had a first-round bye that is playing against a team without the first-round bye, okay? So in this case, it would be the Eagles. They did not have the first-round bye, and the Chiefs did have a first-round bye. That previous 10 matchups that we're talking about, 0-10 ATS and 1-9 on the money line. So the team that has the first-round bye does not have success against a team that does not have the first-round bye, which would be the Eagles. So if you do believe in that betting trend, it is giving way to the narrative that the Eagles will not only win the game, but also cover the number. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Not only cover the number, but also win the game outright. So take that for what it's worth. That's just one man's opinion. You could tell by my Chiefs helmet, I'm a big Mahomes guy, but I am objective when it comes to betting. And the Eagles, in my opinion, have been the best team in the NFL for the last, I think 12 weeks plus. Okay. I know they started off slow, but if you take out that first third of the season, I think that the Eagles have been the best team in football. And it pays me to say that because, quite frankly, I do hate their fan base. Hate's a strong word. I shouldn't say that. But I just don't think that the fan base is representative of what we want to do in terms of viewing a game. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. Side and total, like I said, guys, we're going to find 1.5. So a lot of shops will be at 2. You might find a 2.5 out there. Personally, I think this number is going to stay right where it's at. Possibly even get to a pick 'em if we get some heavy action on the Eagles. But I think they're going to have liability on both sides. So I don't foresee enough movement one way or another. You will not see a 3. I can guarantee you that. So if you're waiting for a 3, don't wait. All right, so let's get into some props. I got all my information here. Some novelty bets, like I was talking about. If you do want to bet, we're not even going to use Outlier for this. I'm just going to talk, okay? So if you are going to look into novelty bets, coin flips, fine. Tails never fails, but I think heads is a better play for the Super Bowl. The novelty bet I do really like, though. They do have I think a New Orleans born or raised pianist, jazz musician doing the Star Spangled Banner. If I can find it, I'm taking the under 2 minutes. I watched the video on YouTube. It's well under 2 minutes. So take it for what it's worth. I believe it starts with, you have to look at the house rules, but look at when that starts, when that stops. But under 2 minutes for the Star Spangled Banner is one of my favorite bets. Yeah, the guy's pretty good with that. So we're going to go under 2 minutes for the Star Spangled Banner. Watch a YouTube video. You'll feel the same way. One of my favorite, I know it's a novelty bet, but one of my favorite bets. Okay. Also, one thing we have to talk about is the ever so important, this is actually the 1 year anniversary of my channel. And I think the first video I ever made was the octopus bet for the Super Bowl. Okay. One of my favorite things to do, it's happened, I think, 9 times in regular season. And one of those players that accomplished the octopus, it's a sucker bet, but one of the bets out there I do usually take for the Super Bowl just to take it is the octopus. And one of the players to accomplish that feat was Saquon Barkley. So that bet is available. If you don't know what an octopus is, That is when you score a touchdown and you get the resulting 2-point conversion, all scored by the same player. So not only do you have that for potentially Travis Kelce, potentially Saquon Barkley, potentially 2 back-to-back tush pushes with Jalen Hurts. That's definitely an angle I see happening. Okay. One thing I do think is going to happen in this game, you can't bet on it, but I will very much tell you guys I like the Patrick Mahomes rushing attempts. He had 11 attempts last game. I think that continues this week in the Super Bowl. I think also that Andy Reid's a very egotistical coach, and not in a bad way, but just in a confidence standpoint. And I think that if you're looking for Patrick Mahomes rushing attempts, if you do believe the Chiefs win, you're probably going to get 3 kneel downs and you're going to get a lot of scrambles. Okay. A lot of interior pressure by the Eagles results in a lot of improvisation. So you will get Patrick Mahomes outside the pocket. Longest rush as well. I do like that one quite a bit, over 11.5. But I do like Patrick Mahomes taking his rushing attempts over 6. One of my favorite bets as well. I also think because of the egotistical nature, we do get some tush pushes to kind of shove it in their face. That they could do that as well. It's kind of a fad, and the Eagles have kind of trademarked that. But I do think that we will see Patrick Mahomes get a tush push. You can't bet on it, but it does help his rushing total. So that's one of the bets I do like. Okay. Also, I told you about the octopus and the scoregami. I'm staying away from that. That's basically a score that has not happened in the Super Bowl. So staying away from that, but I do like the octopus a little bit. I think we have some outs, some good value. It's a sucker bet, but I think it still can happen. Okay, so let's get into the prop bets. I talked a little bit about the game. In terms of the side and total, the other one, I told you guys I'm on the under. If you ask me to my face, one of the other bets I do like is the under 24.5 for the first half. That's a bet that I do fancy quite a bit. So taking the under 24.5, that's a bet that I will be making. Even if the game goes over, I still think that we get under that 24.5. I think that when it comes down to the game script, and that's kind of what I'm going to address right now, we get Steve Spagnuolo. Honestly, if you had to give an NFL MVP, it would go to him first and foremost. You can't give it to a coach, but he's my coach of the year. Personally, I know there's some great stories out there, but what he's able to do with that Chiefs defense year in and year out has been applaudable. And that's kind of how I feel about the game. I think that he's going to keep it close. I think he's going to really stump Hurts. McDuffie's going to take away the outside like the Chiefs always do. The Eagles are very vulnerable over the middle. We're going to talk about that. Interior pass rush. The Eagles have the best line. That's a strength. They have the best line in the game, but it's also their weakness. Okay. So how vulnerable they are to that Chiefs front seven. That's kind of where I'm at as well. I think they're going to load the box, so it's not going to be a front 7. It's going to be kind of a front 8, front 9. It's probably going to be an 8-man box. They're going to take away Barkley. Simple as that. Okay, so I'm kind of fading Saquon Barkley in this game. I know that statistically it's good to bet on him. Longest rush attempts, rushing yards. But that's a very public bet that I'm not scared to go under on within the Saquon Barkley numbers. And if I lose, I lose. But I'm fading Saquon Barkley in this game. Not saying anything against the player. I just think the Chiefs are going to take him out, especially with Jalen Hurts' health status. I know they have some time off the heel, but I just think that if they're going to lose this game, it's going to be because Jalen Hurts beat him with his arm, okay? And that quite frankly, in my opinion, is going to be a tough task, okay? So that's kind of how I view it. Back into the narrative. Let's talk about it, because if the Eagles are vulnerable over the middle, I do think that Travis Kelce is going to be the direct benefactor. So Kelce going over receiving yards. If you like overs, bet them early. If you like the unders, wait till game day, bet them under. Taking Kelce longest reception, taking Kelce over his yardage. Those are props I do like. Also, another receiver that I do want to talk about, and I'm going to pull up outlier for this as well, because it is relative, in my opinion, to go over the numbers, because the last 2 games have been outliers in themselves. Okay. And that's where we're going to look into the player props. I'm going to go into receiving, and we're going to find the first and foremost on the list, DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. Right now you can see his bet at 11.5, potentially going over 11.5 for DeAndre Hopkins rushing yards or receiving yards. I like that. But the bet I'll be making is DeAndre Hopkins over receptions. Okay, right now you can find it over 1.5 at plus 130 on BetMGM. One of my favorite bets on the card as well. Okay, we saw this kind of come to fruition. You look at the last 10 games. He had 1 and 0 respectively in the last 2 games. But look at the data from the 8 before that. Okay, I'm taking DeAndre Hopkins. We're going over 1.5 receptions. If you want to take 11.5, go over that. Fine. Maybe he just gets 1 for 15. Still cash that ticket. I think this is probably my favorite bet on the card. I know the secondary for the Eagles is good. I talked about how they're vulnerable over the middle. So I do like Kelsey going over his yards. I do like Noah Gray over his as well. Noah Gray, you could take the receptions. You can over 1.5, or you could take the receiving yards. I quite frankly don't care. I think both tight ends are good for that bet to cash. Okay. Another one that's kind of interesting is the Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay. Over 1.5. For some odd reason, it's juiced up at minus 126. Okay. And if you look at the last 10 games and look at the data, it really doesn't suggest that this should be a heavily odds-on kind of bet. It should not be juiced up. This should be almost plus money, in my opinion, based on the last 10 games of action. Only hitting 30% of the time. Okay. And that's kind of where I'm at with taking Juju Smith-Schuster. There's a reason why this is minus 126. So we saw the big catch he had against Buffalo. So I do like me some Juju Smith-Schuster going over within that bet as well. Okay. I talked about Hopkins, talked about Gray, talked about Kelsey. All right. Now we're going to switch gears and go into the rushing. It's not going to be in terms of rushing attempts, but this is one of the bets. If we are going to play touchdowns in this game, this is a bet that everybody should also have on their card. Okay. I do think Patrick Mahomes at 4-1 is a good bet to get into the end zone. It doesn't happen. It happened 2 times out of his last 10 games. But if we saw last week, he had over 1.5 at plus 4,700. That is a bet that you almost should make without even blinking. It's too big of odds. They open up the playbook. He improvises. I know it's quite frankly not going to happen, but I do think at 4-1, Patrick Mahomes getting in the end zone is a very, very good bet as well. Okay. Really, it's one of my favorite plus money bets of the card. Okay. Also, we're going to go into the first and last touchdown scores. And it really doesn't matter how you spin it, but it's Kareem Hunt plus 950. Okay. First touchdown score plus 950. If we look at the 2024 data in the games that he has started, 20% of the time. But if we look at touchdowns in general, look at this. In his last 4 games, he scored a touchdown. Okay. If they get within the 5, Kareem Hunt's getting into the end zone. Okay. And that's exactly what I'm going to stand upon. It's a bet. It's still too heavily juiced. Plus 145 is extreme value for Kareem Hunt to get into the end zone, in my opinion. I was on the bet for the first touchdown for him at 10-1 last week. So that was one that cashed for me. I'm still going to be riding that in this game as well. Okay. Outside of that, I do want to talk rushing a little bit more so, but we're going to go into the receiving rushing. Okay. This is where you can find Xavier Worthy rushing attempts plus 115 over 1.5. I think this is one that they are opening up the playbook. Worthy, we were on that last week within rushing yards. I think that's an avenue where I do see him getting over this number. 5.5 is the lowest you can find, minus 122. So take me on the outside. We're going to go with the jet sweeps to Xavier Worthy. They actually did run one out of the backfield when he was lined up at running back. So I do like Xavier Worthy over 1.5 rushing attempts, over 5.5 rushing yards at minus 122. That's a bet that I do like as well. Probably to be fully transparent, the over 1.5 attempts I like a little bit better, just because of the fact that if we do get a sweep that gets for a loss, even if he has a 10-yard rush, he could end up losing 6 on a sweep, and then we end up losing this bet. So I probably would go over 1.5 rushing attempts as the official play for Xavier Worthy. Okay. Next, I want to talk about the Eagles a little bit. Okay. This is something where Trent McDuffie on the outside for the Chiefs, lockdown corner, hurts his arm. I think this is Casey, I'll hit the comments a little bit. I agree with you, man. I'm with you on that, but I would disagree. I think that the turf gives him a fast track, and that's where Xavier Worthy is more so exploited. So I think it's actually more so likely in a dome to get him on the outside quicker. Okay. Next, I want to talk about this one on the Eagles side. Let's talk receiving a little bit because I talked about McDuffie locking down the likes of A.J. Brown. I'm fading A.J. Brown. I'm fading Saquon Barkley. Maybe a mistake, but you got to pick your shots, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So for this one, guys, simply put, we're going to look into the Devonta Smith receiving yards, okay? And you can see it right now at minus 110. That is the over 49.5, okay? I think Devonta Smith gets this one. The Chiefs, a little bit vulnerable in terms of this to slot receivers. So I do like him against the Chiefs quite a bit. Head-to-head, we saw this 2 years ago. He had 99 yards against Chiefs. So in the last matchup. So I do think Devonta Smith sails over 49.5 yards. One of my favorite bets as well. If we're going to attack the Eagles receivers, this is how I'm doing it. A lot of people are talking Jahan Dotson just needs to catch one to clear his number. I'm not going to do that. Usually I do like picking those, but for this purpose, I'm going to stay away from that. Okay. But I do like me some Devonta Smith. If we look at kind of where we stack up against this target share, it's 21% of the targets going against a team that gives up a lot of yards to slot receivers in specific. I know they lock down receivers, but slot receivers, they are very vulnerable. So give me Devonta Smith over the 49.5. Okay. And that pretty much does it. That's pretty much all the props that I do like on my end. The one thing else I will talk about, I talked a little bit earlier in this video about the bet that you should have in terms of the Harrison Butker MVP. Okay. Simply put, but if you do want to back something else, the over 1.5 field goals minus 160, you can kind of tell by the way Vegas juices these numbers, right? Last week, it was kind of fishy when it was only minus 105. Now we're seeing minus 160 odds on favorite. So any kind of a, how should I say this? Any kind of a parlay builder, definitely add Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals to that card. I think this one is a foregone conclusion, especially how I feel about him potentially getting the MVP. I just see no other way that Harrison Butker does not kick 2 made field goals. He potentially could miss a field goal and screw us, but and make sure you shop around for this because you will find Chiefs made field goals over 1.5. So look for that more so. It's the same number. But some books word it differently. So if he gets a running into a kicker and he's ineligible to come back into the game because of injury, you still have this bet alive. Okay, over 1.5 field goals for Harrison Butker. Also, back on the injury front, this is not advice, financial advice by any stretch of imagination, but if you are going to use a sports book, make sure you know the house rules for this game with injuries. The one sports book I do favor for props is Fanatics due to the fact that they have that first quarter guarantee. If for some odd circumstance your player does get hurt and ruins your tickets, you do get that voided by Fanatics, no questions asked. One of the reasons why I like Fanatics, okay? And that's pretty much it. So I talked about special teams, where I'm at, talked about the game total points, as well as the side a little bit, and the props that I like. So now I'm going to open up the floor. Let me know your guys's. Let's open up the chat. You guys fire away. Let me know what you guys want to know. I'll give you guys my best analysis and take on those bets, and I'll leave this up for you guys to see. And if you want me to look into something, please let me know in the chat. Let's go. Not all at once. Am I playing Goddard at all? Good question. A lot of people I know are backing Goddard. Um, and I think this is a prime example why. The Chiefs will look at his numbers. It is something that I do like. Typically, though, and this is maybe just me, I stay away from Dallas Goddard. Okay. But we'll look at receiving yards. Right now, you can see the best number at 49.5. You want to pay minus 118. Okay. The Chiefs are kind of dead last against tight ends. So that's why a lot of people like them. I think that everybody's going to be aware of that. And I told you guys, if you think that the Eagles are going to just run the ball, it's not going to happen. Okay. So if the Eagles are going to win this game, they're going to have to throw it. And I think that you're right. I think that Jalen and Goddard have a very good connection right now. And I think this is the way that they do look to go about that. And I think it's going to be Devonta Smith. I think it's going to be Dallas Goddard. And those are the only two ways that I see them throwing the football. Yeah, AJ Brown's probably going to get 50. And if he gets 80, I'll tip my cap. But I'm fading AJ Brown. So, and who knows? I think we're going to see, and that's kind of the reason why I like the first half under. I think both teams are going to fill themselves out. Historically, both of these teams are very slow pace per possession, and I think they're going to run a lot of the play clocks down. You're going to have a really long drives. I think you may not even be kind of, who knows? The Eagles may have their way. They may just run tempo and just run the ball. But I foresee this being like a punt kind of start to the game. And something like 13-7 at halftime kind of deal. 13-10 worst. Anybody else in the chat? Also, guys, I'm sure all of you are already subscribed, but if you have not done so, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yeah. So, Steve, that's a very good point. I want to talk to you about that because I actually forgot to mention this. So, I was that guy that was telling people to take the Commanders against the Lions, and then on the same breath, I was the guy telling the take the Eagles against the Commanders. Defensive injuries matter. Okay. So, some of the success that the Commanders have had, some of the success that the Eagles have had, I attribute that a little bit to the integrity of that defense. And the Lions, they were out a lion's share of injuries on defense. Commanders took advantage. The Eagles, or the Commanders, were missing their best defensive lineman, and the Eagles took advantage and ran the ball down their throat. Okay. I think this is something where you can't use these past few playoff games as data points, in my opinion, because the styles of play are just so varying, and the Chiefs are completely healthy. And I've been one that has always said that I believe that Frank Clark arguably is the best player in the NFL in the last 5-6 years. So or actually, hold on. Give me 1 second. I might have misspoke on that. Sorry, it's a lot of stuff at once. Not Frank Clark. I apologize. He's not even on the Chiefs. Chris Jones. Okay. Chris Jones, in my opinion, potentially the best player in the NFL the last 6 years. Okay. I'm just so used to that Chiefs defense that it's just one of those names that just never leaves my side. So, but appreciate you guys all tuning in. I am going to wrap this up if nobody else has any other questions. I am going to be making a full video where we break down this all in its entirety. For some reason, nobody tunes into the live streams, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. Still worth it, and it's one way to get this to you guys a little bit earlier than everybody else too. So. And I cannot wait. I have a haircut today. I have not left my basement in the last 2 weeks, or since Friday, basically, quarantine with the flu. So, first day that I'm back in action fully. So it's perfect timing for when we start our trek down south. Anybody else want to chime in before I sign off? Nothing. Also, before you guys go, if you have a Twitter X, make sure you guys all follow me on that. I'm going to be posting some pictures and stuff from the event. So make sure you tune into that. If not, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for the live, and we'll see you guys all over on the channel. Good luck with the college basketball tonight. We'll have a lot of plays and picks content this weekend live from New Orleans. So appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you all in the next video. Peace.